Hello and welcome to an analog unboxing by the Digital Jesuit. I'm Father Robert Balacer, and I want to wish you a Happy New Year and a Merry Christmas. We've been doing this series for 7 days now. This is the 7th day of uberGeek Christmas, where we've been giving away the items that we've been unboxing. Now, it was a little weird today because we had a, 90-minute, 100-minute blackout. Not exactly sure why it happened. I think it has to do with the power vault under the street in front of the house. We've been having some pretty major storms here in Rome, just a little bit at a time, and it was a lightning strike right before we lost power. Now, I got to say, I kind of like it because it gives me a plugs out test. Now, what is a plugs out test? Back when I was still doing interop, we were designing the world's largest temporary network. We would build it in a warehouse in California, break it down, ship it over to Las Vegas, and then we would run it for the interop show and conference. Well, that was my first real test with a large group of engineers. And one of the things that we would always do, the very last test that we would do at the warehouse, is something called plugs out. So the lead engineer, just talking to all of us, who we were the team engineers, would say, "Are you ready? Do you think you're ready? Is your system configured? The part of the network that you're responsible for, is it properly set up to be redundant?" And then he would literally go over to the main breaker and flip it off and flip it back on. And we would find out what parts of the network came back up like they should and what parts would freeze or what parts would have difficulty. And it's probably the best way to test your disaster, your redundancy, without actually blowing something up. Because no matter how much you plan, no matter how much thought you put into what your disaster recovery is going to look like, no matter how much redundancy you think you've built in or the salesperson has told you you've bought, until you actually see how all those pieces are going to interact with one another, you don't really have a redundancy plan. You don't really have a disaster plan. You actually don't have a backup. And what we would find each and every single year, because we were always introducing new elements into the network, is that when we did the plugs out test, inevitably there was one or two pieces of equipment that just didn't act the way they should. And the thing that just made it maddening was you could do a mini plugs out. So you could like disconnect the 4 cabinets that you were responsible for, plug them back in, and everything worked fine. They came up, they re-registered on the network, traffic started flowing, and all of the other pieces kept working while your segment was down. But then when you did the entire network, just strange things would happen. Equipment would go into weird states, or they'd be looking for other pieces of equipment that didn't come up at the right time or in the right sequence. And so it was a fascinating way. It was, okay, now I can say it's fascinating, but back then it was incredibly frustrating because you actually had to have the experience. You couldn't just read the spec sheet. You couldn't just trust that the theory was going to work. Well, that's what we got a little bit this morning. I've got 4 different data areas on the campus, and I've got the 2 studios. And so I had to go through all of the places to see if the equipment was working as designed. Did the servers stay up? Did the battery backups stay up? Did the diesel generator switch on when they were supposed to? And, well, they did this time, except for one thing, and that was the second floor data closet has 2 Synology NASs. And they shut down properly. They came back up properly. But they lost their sync with their counterparts back in the United States. I haven't figured out why it did that. It shouldn't have. It should be automatic. They should. In fact, I waited there for 3 hours after the power came back up to see if they would resync, and they never did. I had to manually force them to resync. And I don't think it's a problem with the Synology, because they actually started resyncing with other NASs within the same network. I think I did something on my setup that prevented them from speaking to each other properly. But that's another thing. That's just another day of paradise in uberGeek heaven. We're here for this. I've got no illusions. This is why you folks are here, because we're trying to send out a little bit of happy vibe with some freebies. Specifically, we're taking a look at the Kingston Nucleum, which is a USB-C breakout, and this, which we took a look at before, one of their Kingston Canvas Go Plus cards. Now, This Nucleum is something that was a bit of a risk for Kingston. They hadn't done anything like this in the past, and it was really the brainchild of my friend David Leong. He was the one who said, look, we need to be in this space. This USB-C space it's growing, and people really want devices that they can trust. I didn't know what that meant until USB-C started receiving a little bit of maturity. I've tested now dozens and dozens of these devices. I've carried them around the world, and there definitely is a difference. You know, there's a difference between the $30 special and something like this, which is a $49 part, in terms of connectivity, flexibility, compatibility, and just how long it's going to last. Now, just like any USB-C breakout box, it's nothing super amazing. You've got a couple of breakout ports. Specifically, I've got one HDMI 4 port, 1.4 port. Oh, there it is, right here. And that supports 4K, 30 frames a second. We've also got two, one on each side, USB-A 3.1 ports. That's USB 3.1 Gen 1. And then you've also got a USB-C output, which is nice because a lot of these adapters only have a USB-C input. They've got something for power, but this also has a pass-through. What I like about that is I have an Asus USB-C monitor that actually can drive off of this port, and it can provide more power, which means I don't get that weird flickering effect that I do when I'm using some of the other docks. This does true power delivery, 60 watts, so it can pass through 60 watts, and it's got this weird feature. I don't think it's a feature. I think it's just a happenstance of the way that they designed it. And that's if you plug in a power adapter, a PD power adapter, even if it's not connected to your laptop, it will charge any attached devices. So I've just kind of gotten used to this being my USB-C charger. When I have to pull my laptop for the day, the power adapter stays plugged into this, and it will charge anything that's connected to my USB-A ports. Something very useful when I'm on the road, because anytime I can split power, it means that's a little extra flexibility in my travel kit. Something else I really like about this is it's electromagnetic interference grounded. Now, that doesn't sound like something that should be big, but it actually is. If you've ever connected to, say, a speaker, like I use Fugu speakers, if you've connected to a speaker via a wired input, because I do not like lag, I do not like connecting via Bluetooth, if you've got that USB speaker's USB power port plugged into the same computer that's playing your music or your sound, whatever it might be, you'll hear a hum. And what that is that's a ground hum, a 50 or a 60 hertz hum. That's the actual AC cycles going back and forth. Well, that's because that device isn't grounded. It's not properly shielded. The Nucleum, at least for me, has been a great way for me to do that, to have the power and the audio coming out of a single laptop. But because I'm routing it through the Nucleum, because I'm getting power through the Nucleum, I'm not hearing the hum. For me, that's important because I hate that hum. It's not just that it's an annoying sound. For me, because I'm broadcasting, that hum is a signal that I didn't do my job. So anytime I get a device that helps me do my job, I'm quite happy. This has been in my kit. I have had a Nucleum in my kit, even when I've been carrying other USB-C breakout devices, probably for about 3 years now. They've just been so good. Even when, and I won't mention the manufacturers because they're quite good, even when my favorites broke, and I don't know why they broke, the Nucleum kept working. And it's worked with every USB-C notebook that I've had, from Toshiba, from Dell, from Asus, from Acer. So if you're looking for something, this is actually a decent $49 box. Oh, the other thing that we've got today, the other giveaway, is this. We took a look at this earlier. This is the Canvas Go Plus SD card. Again, just if we were talking about how the A series of SSDs are their value series, this is their value series of SD cards. But value doesn't mean slow. In fact, this thing is quite quick. We've got a Class 10 UHS 1 U3, which works just fantastically for most of the devices that I use it with. I have a set of cameras that actually take advantage of the higher speed. They've got 64 gigabyte, 128 gigabyte, 256 gigabyte, 512. They've got this in both SD and micro SD with the same performance specs. Now, the 64 gigabyte is only going to run you $15 all the way up to 130 or 129 for the half a terabyte version. and you get 64 gigabytes, and you get 170 megabytes per second read, 70 megabytes per second write, which goes up to 90 megabytes per second write on the 128 gigabyte and up versions. This isn't just a big card, it's fast. And what do I use that speed for? Well, first of all, it's going to be the burst mode. So anytime I'm using, say, a DSLR, this will keep me from having to wait while the camera unloads its buffer into the card, because instead of writing at 10, 20, 30 megabytes per second, I'm writing at 170 or at 70 megabytes per second. And it also means that it's good for 4K. I actually have a series of older SD cards that work fine for 1080p, but if I try to use those same cards in my 4K camera, it starts to drop frames, or at the minimum, it's going to break the sync between the audio and the video track. That's just no good. Also, the end of day speeds are important for me, because when I've got a huge take from, say, taping at a CES or an NAB, if I've got 4 or 5 of these cards, it takes forever at a 20, 30, 40 megabyte per second read. Since this is doing 170 megabytes per second, it's significantly faster. I can cut down the time that I need by 8. That's just so much extra productivity time for me to do what I actually want to do. So again, the Nucleum and the Canvas Go 128 gigabyte card, these are the two devices that I'll be giving away in today's drawing. Now, speaking of today's drawing, we are on day, 7. So there are 3 days left. And the 3 days left have 2 SSDs and 1 more of those Data Traveler encrypted USB sticks. So please make sure that you continue to check the Twitter feed. I want you to get all of the chances possible to win the swag. But as before, because we want to be completely transparent, let's run through how we do the contest. This is the page. This is open to everyone. Everyone has access to this doc. I've linked it pretty much every single day. It gives you not just the rules, but all of the verified entries. Now, what do I mean by verified entries? Well, quite simply, if you have replied to a tweet, the official tweet of the day, with the hashtag Kingston is with you, then you get entered. I have a little bot that's just scraping that account at all times, and then it asks for my manual approval to put it into this doc. Well, every single day, you get an entry if you do that process. And all of those entries are counted. They're all cumulative, which means if you have been here since day 1, you now have 7 entries. If you win, you're going to lose one of those entries because whatever entry 1 is removed from the database. But otherwise, it just keeps adding up to increase your chances of winning. Now, the first thing we're going to do to make sure that I didn't make a mistake, or the bot didn't make a mistake, or someone was just trying to enter their name multiple times, we've highlighted this green section. This is the section for the entries of the day. We're going to go up to data, and we are going to deduplicate this. We're going to remove all the duplicates. Let's see. 1. Oh, wow. That's actually pretty good. I've been 1 the last couple of days. So there was only 1 duplicate. So this is a completely unique list for the day. And since we've already checked all the previous days, it means those are good as well. Our list is going to start at row 34. And it's going to end at row 839. So we're going 34 to 839. I've got my random number generator, 839. This was, you could get this too, by the way. If you just go to Bing and type in random number generator, this is the very first one that pops up. I don't run this. I didn't program this. The only thing I've done is I've tested it to make sure that it's fair, and it's absolutely fair. So it's going to pull a random number between 34 and 839. Now, whatever number it comes up with, I am going to go back to that spreadsheet, find that row, and that is the winner. But remember the rules. We're trying to do this kind of like a CES, because I miss CES, a giveaway, a raffle. And that means that you get 60 seconds. I'm going to DM you. You get 60 seconds to reply. If you do not reply within 60 seconds, we draw again. Now, I get it. There's all sorts of reasons why you couldn't reply. Hopefully, you're waiting by your Twitter feed, whatever it might be on your phone or your laptop, just in case you do win. We have not had any turndowns except for one day where 2 people missed out. Don't be that person. Now, here's how. Oh, the people in the live chat room, they already know what I'm going to do. I always ask for a number between 1 and 10, and that's to guarantee that this is truly random. That's the number of times I'm going to hit the generate random number button on that page. And then the very last number is the number that we're going to take. So I'm going to take the first one I see. I see Patrick Delahanty choosing 11 out of 10 because Patrick Delahanty had to be Patrick Delahanty. And you know what, Patrick? Because we're buds, we're going to do that. We're pushing it 11 times. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, because Patrick decided to be out of the box, I want to go back to the list. And hold on, let's see. Who was that? What? Number 693. If Patrick had played by the actual thing that I had asked, right now, the winner would be Nealt36. So Nealt, if you have angst, I want you to unload it on Patrick because he had us do 11. And that means one more. Here we go. 436, number 436. Let's go ahead and go up to 436, and that brings us to... Aha. Holbrook. Holbrook. All right, but don't give up because remember, Holbrook has 60 seconds. 60 seconds to reply to my DM. And here is reply. Hey, man. I heard you like free swag. Reply in 60 seconds to get some. Okay, so we've got our timer. This is the clock that we're going to be watching. And I'm going to hit play at the same time that I hit enter. And he's got 60 seconds. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, do I root for this man? Do I not root for this man? Do I hope that this person doesn't get their swag so that I get another shot? I don't know. That's entirely up to you. But, I just love spreading a little bit of cheer. And no response yet. We're still waiting. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Chris McGee, one away from you. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, under 30 seconds, Nathan Holbrook has replied. There we go. Let me do a little bit of housekeeping. Now, again, don't feel down because your entry is cumulative, which means that you're going to be entered automatically for tomorrow's, even if you do not win, even if you don't enter for tomorrow. Now, what are we giving away tomorrow? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, we're running out of stuff to give out. So I thought maybe we'd give away this 1 terabyte KC600 SSD. It's got its own encryption engine to make it super secure. It's actually really fast. This would be one of the fastest things that you could drop into an existing desktop or notebook. But, I don't know who's actually interested in that. If you're interested, then make sure you stay tabbed. Make sure you go back to my Twitter account, twitter.com/PadreSJ. Don't forget to subscribe or like so I can continue to do these giveaways. I've realized that people really like this. We want to do the year right. And if there are manufacturers out there who will help me spread cheer to my fans, I'm going to do it. Until then, I am Father Robert Ballister. By the way, did I say it was day 7? Because Douglas just reminded me that this is day 6. Whatever. I've totally lost it. We're giving away stuff tomorrow. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Remember, there's no uberGeek without you.